Picture this. It's 1917. You're a young woman working in what seems like a dream job. You're painting delicate numbers on watch faces, making good money, and your workplace is filled with a substance so magical that it glows in the dark. Your skin literally shimmers. Your hair has an ethereal glow. You're told this radium is so safe, so pure, that it's being marketed as a health tonic. But here's the terrifying truth. Every day you go to work, you're slowly killing yourself. And the worst part, your employers know it. This is the story of the Radium Girls, young women whose fight for justice changed workplace safety forever, but at an unimaginable cost. Welcome to Nightmare Narratives, where true history bleeds into horror and the strangest legends might just be real. If you like the eerie, the unexplained, and the downright disturbing, hit like and don't forget to subscribe. To understand this tragedy, we need to go back to 1898, when Marie and Pierre Curie discovered radium. This glowing element was hailed as a miracle substance. People genuinely believed radium could cure everything from arthritis to impotence. Wealthy Americans were drinking radium water, using radium face creams, and even wearing radium jewellery. There were radium spas where people paid premium prices to bathe in radioactive water. The element was literally worth more than gold, about $100,000 per gram in today's money. So when World War I created a massive demand for glow-in-the-dark watch dials for soldiers, it seemed like the perfect intersection of patriotism and profit. Enter the US Radium Corporation in Orange, New Jersey, and similar companies across America. They needed workers to paint these tiny watch dials with radium paint, work that required incredible precision and steady hands. Who better than young women known for their dexterity and attention to detail? Imagine being Grace Fryer, Catherine Schwab, or any of the hundreds of young women who walked into these factories. You're making more money than most women could dream of, sometimes $20 a week when the average was $8. The work seems easy enough. Dip your brush in radium paint, bring it to a fine point with your lips, paint the numbers, repeat. Lip, dip, paint. That was the technique they were taught. The supervisors assured them the radium was completely harmless. It's so safe, they said, that some of our executives take it as medicine. The women were even encouraged to paint their nails and teeth with the leftover radium paint for parties. Imagine walking into a dance hall literally glowing. But here's what the women didn't know. In the laboratories upstairs, the male scientists handling the same radium wore lead aprons, used ivory-tipped tools, and worked behind protective screens. They never touched the radium directly, never put it near their mouths. Meanwhile, the women downstairs were consuming it daily. Every time they pointed their brush with their lips, they ingested radium. Conservative estimates suggest each woman swallowed about 1,000 times the safe limit of radium every single day. The effects weren't immediate. Radium has a half-life of 1,600 years, meaning once it's in your body, it's essentially there forever. It settles in your bones, mimicking calcium, and slowly irradiates you from the inside out. By the early 1920s, the women started getting sick. Really sick. It began with dental problems. Their teeth fell out. Their jawbones literally crumbled. Some women's entire jaws had to be removed. Grace Fryer's jaw broke while she was at the dentist. It simply snapped from the gentle pressure of an examination. But it got worse. Their bones became so brittle that they'd break from the slightest pressure. Some women's spines collapsed. Others developed severe anemia. Strange tumours appeared throughout their bodies. The most haunting detail, even in death their bodies continued to glow. When one woman, Molly Maggia, was exhumed for investigation 5 years after her death, her remains were still radioactive. Her bones glowed through the coffin. The company's response was predictably callous. They blamed the women's health problems on syphilis, claiming their loose morals were the real cause of their deteriorating health. They hired doctors to provide false diagnoses. They buried evidence and silenced whistleblowers. US Radium Corporation even hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on the women who were starting to ask questions. Here's where our story becomes one of incredible courage. Despite being systematically poisoned and facing powerful corporations with unlimited resources, 5 women decided to fight back. Grace Fryer, Catherine Schaub, Edna Hussman, Quinta MacDonald and Albina Larice became known as the Radium Girls. In 1927, they filed a lawsuit against US Radium Corporation. This wasn't just about money, though they desperately needed it for medical bills. This was about accountability, about truth, about preventing this from happening to other women. The legal battle was brutal. The company's lawyers used every delay tactic possible, hoping the women would literally die before the case could proceed. And tragically, some did. But the women who remained fought on, even when they were too sick to walk into the courtroom. Grace Fryer's arm was so damaged by radiation that she couldn't raise her hand to take the oath. Catherine Schaub had to be carried in on a stretcher. The case captured national attention. Newspapers called it one of the most damaging suits in the history of industry. The public was outraged by photos of these young women, some barely able to move, facing off against corporate lawyers in expensive suits. In 1928, the case was settled out of court. Each woman received $10,000, about $150,000 today, plus medical expenses and a $600 annual pension. It wasn't enough. It could never be enough. But it was acknowledgement of the corporation's guilt. More importantly, the Radium Girls case established the legal precedent that workers could sue for damages from occupational diseases. This was revolutionary. Before this case, if you got sick from your job, you had no recourse. Their sacrifice led to the creation of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, and fundamentally changed how we think about workplace safety. Every safety regulation, every warning label, every protection you have at work today exists partly because of these women's courage. The last of the Radium Girls died in the 1990s, their bodies still radioactive after decades. May Keene, one of the final survivors, lived to be 107, carrying radium in her bones for over 70 years. Their story reminds us that progress often comes at a human cost, and that the most important battles are sometimes fought by the most unlikely heroes, young women who just wanted to make a living and ended up changing the world. The next time you see workplace safety equipment, remember the Radium Girls. Remember that someone, somewhere, paid the ultimate price for the protections we often take for granted. Their glow may have faded, but their legacy burns bright.